So here's the near final result of getting the extra stereo on there. There's the old stereo, here's the new stereo. I got a faceplate for it, and I kind of had to modify just a little to get it in there and never quite find the right screws to get in there. So, you know, it'd be cool to have some black screws instead of some silver screws, but it's all working. And the only issue I really face is with some alternator wine, and so I did install a couple of these, 2 or 3 of these things on the audio cables, and it helped cut it down a little bit. But otherwise, I think I might have to run another grounding cable right to the battery. But otherwise, success, and I have both radios, and I can just switch between them as I want, and it's very cool. So there's a pass-through through the firewall right there. You can see a little bit of a screwdriver sticking out, and what you do is you remove the glove compartment, and then way up in there you can stick a screwdriver through and then find where it comes out, and it's just like very hard to find that. So I'll try to slowly zoom out. So it's, let's see if I can get a light on it. Yeah, it's like right back in there in the other videos, so you can see the screwdriver sticking out a little bit again, and it looks like it'll be quite difficult to try to reach it, but I'm gonna try to run my wires back to there, and I'll also show you under the glove compartment where that comes out as well. So that gets rid of the need to drill through the firewall, but then you might still have to seal it up with silicone or some kind of gasket or something. There's a gasket that you pull out, but I don't know if it'll fit all the wires and stuff that I want to send through there. So you remove the glove compartment and you move your seat all the way back up so you can get into it. I've actually got some knee pads that make it easier to go down there. So here's where the screwdriver is coming through, right there, and there was just a little gasket I had to move out of the way to get through the firewall. But you want to really make sure you seal it up so you don't get carbon monoxide poisoning or whatever. So I fed my wire backwards through the cabin under the glove compartment. You can see it sticking out there, the blue wire. So then I'll try to get a grabber or something that can reach the wire. But the gasket, looks like that hole is what routes your windshield wiper fluid all the way to the back of your vehicle. So you got to be careful not to damage that hose or pinch it, or you won't be able to send the windshield wiper fluid back to the back window, or perhaps you might cause a leak or something. So I mean, the other option besides that hole is people drill a hole. You can look up a video for that, but they just get this special drill bit and put a hole like way back there and then run all their stuff. And I don't really like the idea of running a new hole through the firewall, but people do it, and I'll link the stuff that you need to do that as well. As far as I know, these are the speaker wires. When you look at the back of the unit, there's 8 wires, 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8 right here. And I'll give you the diagram for the colors. So if you wanted to add some kind of line output or stereo, here's the wires you would cut to the speakers versus the head unit. So here are all the speaker wires coming out here. Here's where the wires come out of the receiver. Piece of junk Ford 4-point whatever stereo system. And I ran 2 9-wire combo sets. So you can buy these cables on Amazon. It has just all the 8 speaker wires and a remote wire, which you may or may not use. And so what I'm doing is I'm running the receiver to one of the sets of wires and to the back with all the amplifiers and the line converter, and then I'm running it back from the amplifiers back to the speakers. And what I should have done, of course, is rewired all the speakers with better speaker wires, but I just didn't feel like it at the time, and I may have to do that sometime in the future. But I just really didn't want to go back and run wires to this door hinge again, or have them just like dangling or something. So we'll see what happens with these speaker wires. The wire colors they give you on the list are not even close. Like, so what's happening here is over time the white is turning to yellow, and so you look and you have a bunch of yellow wires, but instead they're white. And if you pull back some of the protection on the wires, you can see the real colors if you have any doubts. But so every time I'm looking for wires, I'm like, where's the white wire? And it's because it's freaking yellow now. Pretty lame, honestly. So here's the setup I got going in the back. I just got a $44 piece of wood. It was the only one that I could find at Home Depot. Got out my 2 different electric saws that I had and cut it down to size. But before I did all that, I got a piece of cardboard and laid everything out on cardboard and kept cutting it down and used it as a template. Now you can get a more professional one for $400 to $1,000, or if somebody happens to be selling it used, but for 44 bucks, that's what I got. Now you really should probably spray paint it black or put some carpet over it. Amazon has a carpet plus spray glue kit for about 29 bucks, but I'm gonna be laying this thing on. I'm gonna have a cover over the whole thing here, so I didn't really care at the moment. Plus I didn't want to spend 29 bucks, but eventually I might pull that stuff off and do a better job with the board, or I'll try to find the professional metal piece that actually fits there. So everything runs up here and then runs down to some more lighting electronics that I have, and then runs to the front. This is the 4-channel amp, and that's a 2000 and I think it's like 2005 amp by Alpine. And then there's the mono amp for the subwoofer, and I have a line converter going to it, and some of the wires are down underneath it. Overall it's something like 945 watts, and then my sub is just got an Alpine 10-inch sub going here, and it'll look a lot better when I get done with it as I'll continue the video series here. But it's definitely an improvement to the stock stereo, but the stock stereo still totally sucks compared to my 2003 Alpine head unit, so I hope to switch the head unit or be able to switch over to it someday. So here I've achieved the impossible dream for Ford Interceptor police utilities. Most people swap out the radio, put in some generic pad or something, or just switch to something completely different. But I really have no need to swap this out, because my phone pretty much acts as everything that a touchpad would do, and it's on the left side of the steering wheel, and I can just do whatever. I don't need all this map nonsense crap, because it's just going to do that on my phone anyway. So the problem though is the stereo, it just sounds like complete garbage, and I swapped the speakers out in other videos, and I tried hooking up a line converter to it. It still sounds like garbage. So what I achieved is I got my 2005 Alpine. This is a competition leveled unit from 2005, and I managed to connect them both up where both of them work. Because what'll happen is you have to, some people connect their own stereo and wire separately, and then this whole section is completely useless at that point. But what I did to achieve that is Alpine has this device where you can connect 2 red-white audio aux inputs, and it's under my seat. I'll show it later, but what I did was I ran this stereo to a line converter, and then from that back as a red-white AV input into the aux of this one. So what I can do is I just switch it to aux here, and then it'll start playing off of this one, and I can use my, you know, call, telephone call and everything, and I can play MP3s off of this thing, and it still sounds awesome because it's being powered by the Alpine unit plus all the stuff from the back. So I haven't quite seen anybody that was able to do that, but luckily I had all of the stuff to pull that off already. If you don't have that, what you'd have to have is a head unit that is capable of taking in a audio video connection, or whatever, left right audio connection as an aux input. And you can even see the 2005 graphic for that right there. So it's very exciting to me to both have my classic Alpine in here that just sounds amazing with my swapped Alpine speakers and my 10-inch sub, but at the same time, when I want to switch back to this one for telephone calls or MP3s, then I can use that, because back in these days the Alpine didn't, there is some ancient add-on for it, but it wouldn't be up to today's standards. So you can kind of ignore the horribleness of how this looks at the moment, because I'm waiting on a faceplate that is out of production that will then put it here into my console, and then I have my light controller stuff. I'm waiting for a faceplate for that. So here's about how it will look once it's all together. And the only issue thus far is there's a little bit of alternator whine, but once you put it up past a certain, you know, past level 1, you don't hear it much at all. So that's just an issue still to solve, but otherwise it's just, I'm so excited I was able to pull this off, and it took hours and hours of work. So here's that Alpine box I was talking about. I had to wait 2 years on eBay to pick it up, but it's got inputs, 2 audio video inputs, and 3 Alpine specific inputs. Actually 2, one for a CD changer, another CD changer, and then the main power one. And so there is my CD changer as well. It's a 12 disc, and I have another 8 discs that I haven't plugged in, but I can just reach under the seat and swap them. But it's enough music to last forever. You can put MP3 discs in there, regular discs, and so on. So it's this part isn't as professional, but it's been under here like a couple months and no problems whatsoever. So here's the final setup back here. I've got the original cover that I was able to get for about 120 bucks, and then there's my sub. It rolls around the back, so I do need to somehow strap it in or do something better with that. But then you just lift this up, and there is everything all set up there, and you have access to it, and it's working great. It doesn't look as good as without the carpet and all that, but with this cover on it, you're never even looking at it anyway. So now I have the sub stuff, but I still have access to the whole trunk.